What's up, fam? Welcome back to the We Are Just Dating page. If you're new here, every Tuesday we drop question of the day where we answer your anonymous questions where you can submit in our bio. We would love to get a question from you about anything on relationships. My name is Tim. This is my beautiful wife, Pauline, and we got a great question for today. Something a lot of y'all gonna want to know about, so let's get to it.
Everyone's favorite topic.
Everybody, let's talk about
sex, baby.
All right. Let's not go too.
Okay, the question is, what if I waited and the sex is not great after we get married? Did I marry the wrong person?
Dang, did I marry the wrong person? It wasn't.
That's deep.
It's deep.
It's deep.
They like, man, I shouldn't have walked down the aisle. They want to take.
Yeah, what about everything else? What about all the other reasons?
So, no. You didn't marry the wrong person at all. You did not marry the wrong person just because the sex wasn't good on the wedding night.
Yeah, or even soon after.
Yeah, sex is an important part of a healthy marriage. We're not going to cap. But it is not the most important part by far. Sex is a journey that you and your spouse are actually supposed to go through together and work on and get better.
Yeah.
But can I be honest?
Always.
Can I be honest? Let's be real. Let's be real.
Yeah.
The real issue a lot of times for many of us is that we know too much going into the wedding night. So we're low-key anxious about, is my partner going to be well? Is my partner going to do good? Am I going to do good in bed?
Gonna be better than my last partner.
Because a lot of us are not virgins going into the wedding night.
Marriage, yeah.
So because of that, we unfortunately, and again, y'all know us, our story, we were not virgins going into our wedding night. When that happens, you come in with comparisons. Whether you want to or not, you know what bad sex is, you know what good sex is. Because if we're real, if you were a virgin and your spouse was a virgin on the married night, y'all don't know what bad sex is. That's the best you ever had.
The only.
Come on, Drake.
It's kind of like the that was corny. It's kind of like the you have the knowledge of good and evil, like Adam and Eve. You know, like God never wanted them to even know that they were naked, and God never even wanted us to know the difference between good and bad sex before marriage.
Yeah, so with all that being said, we have to make a conscious decision of going into our wedding night with a renewed mind, not worrying about what the world says about sex and what it should be like in our marriage or on our wedding night, but going in with a renewed peace and renewed mind about sex because actually God created it. Let's remember that. So I'm going to share later in the video 3 things to remember to help you have peace, because a lot of y'all are single watching this or dating or engaged. So when that time comes, if you remember these things, it's going to help you have a better experience on your wedding night.
Yeah.
What you got to say?
So good. Yeah, I think this is a great question because I think it's something that a lot of people have anxiety about as they're preparing for their wedding and getting ready for the wedding night. And there's nothing wrong with having a little bit of like nervousness. Because,
little butterflies?
Yeah, like you're excited, you're nervous. This person's never seen you in this way before, hopefully. And I know that I felt that before we got married. It was like, oh my gosh, like this is going to be new territory. And there's nothing wrong with that, with being a little bit apprehensive, but like having anxiety or especially going all the way to thinking like I married the wrong person.
She had divorce court already.
Yeah, that's pretty extreme.
Or he.
It's pretty extreme because you have to remember, you know, you're not marrying this person because of your sexual chemistry. You're marrying them because you're building God's kingdom together, and this is the person that God has called you to further his kingdom with. So it's much bigger than sex. If you're going to divorce over sex, that makes me wonder, like, are you marrying for sex? You have to kind of ask yourself that. And the enemy uses this fear that a lot of us who have had sexual past, you know, to kind of install or implant anxiety in our marriages before it even begins. And you don't want to give him that door in your heart and into your marriage, because we have to remember, and we talked about this in the wedding night question of the day, but sex is not a performance. It's not a performance on the wedding night, and it's not a performance 10, 15, 20 years into your marriage either. Sex is simply a physical expression of an emotional and a spiritual connection and commitment that you already have established with that person. So at the altar, you guys obviously solidified your covenant before God, before family, and your marriage bed is a physical expression of that covenant. Actually, every time you have sex as a married couple, you are renewing that covenant that you guys made at the altar, which is such a beautiful thing. to be able to do. And a lot of times I think we focus on like how sex makes us feel physically instead of what it's doing in the spirit and what it's doing to bond us emotionally. And for us women, I'll even say a lot of women get most sexually aroused or have the most kind of pleasurable experience sexually when they feel safe and feel secure. And you're going to feel the safest and most secure in a marriage. And if you're not feeling safe or secure in your marriage, or when you're having sex with your spouse, I would then ask, how are things going emotionally? Are you guys having fun together? Are you going on dates? Are you guys laughing? Or how's your friendship? Because if your emotional and your spiritual connection as a married couple is not strong, it's going to reflect in marriage, or I'm sorry, in the bedroom, in your sex life. So I would kind of go back to that. If you think about your marriage, your wedding night, or the first couple nights or weeks and sometimes even months of your marriage, you're just starting to build. So there's not really much to go off of there. So you have to be very gracious to your spouse, to yourself, if the sex is not where you want it to be. But like Tim said, you have to go in with a renewed mindset. God's plan is for us to go into marriage with a blank slate. Like, don't compare it to your past, because no matter what, how good it felt physically, spiritually, it was sin. And spiritually, you were killing yourself by having sex, with somebody else. And you have to remember that. The enemy would love for you to think that you married the wrong person strictly off of sex. But it's like, what about, what the Lord spoke to you when He brought this person into your life? Like, what about all that God has done in and through your dating and your engagement? What about the family that He's given you as a vision? And a lot of people, kind of forget that. So I also want to say sexual compatibility isn't a real thing. If you are a man and you're with a woman, you're compatible.
Congratulations.
Anatomically, you guys are compatible. All the other stuff is going to be a person-to-person kind of variance. And you do have to take time to learn your spouse, what they like, what they don't like, and they'll do the same thing for you. You do have to communicate and talk about sex outside of the bedroom in order to have a good experience in the bedroom. So I would encourage you to do that. And I mean, again, like, this is not a performance. Like, for any of you guys who are athletes or were athletes, like, were you good the first time you played soccer? Like, were you good at basketball your very first time? Don't say yes.
Since I came out the womb.
No, but you have to learn. You have to learn. You're committed to the skills.
Yes.
And all those different things. It takes years for people to get really good at sports or really any skill. And the same thing is true for sex. So if you're a month married and it's not great, you guys have a decade or are decades ahead of your marriage, to get there. So don't, like Tim said, it's a journey. You're not supposed to get it right away. So give yourself grace.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's get practical for a second. What are 3 things you can do to help yourself when you're leading up to that wedding night? We know we got a lot of engaged people who may be watching. Your day's coming soon, which is exciting, but we want to make sure we're going into it with the right mindset, the right heart, right? So first thing is this. Remember, God created sex and He wants you to enjoy it. Yeah, let that awkward pause sit there. God actually created sex and He wants you to enjoy it. The problem is the devil took sex and has distorted it. Yeah. So now we have different mindsets about sex and it feels dirty and impure, but that was never God's intention. So we have to remember that. And if you're having issues with thinking about sex and how God created it and how He actually wants you to enjoy it, maybe that's something that you should talk about in premarital counseling, whether it be with the counselor or maybe you should go to therapy, or there's something you want to work through, because I know a lot of women, they struggle with that as far as all their life they've been told not to have sex. And then don't show yourself. Yeah. And it's hard to make that flip when you get married. So just talk about it with someone who's godly, who's a mentor, who can help you with that. Number 2, remember, you have a lifetime to develop a strong sex life. Like Pauline said, practice is how we get better at everything else in life. So why don't we expect that with sex? If it's the best on your wedding night, that's a long life because it's never going to get better after that. You don't want that. So remember, practice, and you're married now. So enjoy it. You got a lot of time. Number 3, remember why you married your spouse. You didn't marry them for sex, like Pauline said. You did not do that. You married them because they have strong character. You married them because they love people. You married them because you think they're going to be a good father. Remember all those things when the sex is bad. Because hey, even if you do have great sex, every time you have sex is not going to be great. Let's keep it 100.
Sometimes Chick-fil-A, not always Ruth's Chris.
Yeah, so sometimes it's just going to be, that was bad, but guess what? We can do it again tomorrow. You feel me? So it can and it will improve. You just have to be patient if it's not the best.
Yeah.
And if you're a virgin watching this, congratulations.
Keep it up.
Because you only got up to go from here, you feel me?
But also things that we've, like, if...
You're right. If you've seen stuff,
porn
you're right.
You know, watch TV, we've all been perverted some way or another.
That's true. So no matter what you did or haven't done, you're going to have to go in with a renewed mind. Those 3 things can help you with that. So that was question of the day. We hope you enjoy it. I do have to say this. We got a big announcement. Big announcement coming February 8th. So stay locked on our Instagram because everything about to change, you feel me? So we're excited. We love you. If you have a question, put it in our bio, and we'll see you guys next week.